Hi, I've taken another detour from clocks again, and those of you that follow my channel see that I mainly do clocks, a little bit of woodwork, but in my last video I made a little table lamp, a night light, and last night I was thinking about another one and woke up this morning and started working on the idea, and I'll show you what I'm up to at the moment. So basically I want to make a light out of copper tube, and I want to cut this profile, and what I want to do is sort of stack a bunch of tubes like that, and then a longer set behind them and a longer set behind them as well, a bit like a church organ, and then mount them all onto a piece of wood with light underneath shining up, so you'll see the light coming up through these flues. Dilemma was, how am I going to cut an angle which is sort of as acute as that? And my typical plumbing tools that I've got will only cut in a straight line, because there's never any need for angles like that in plumbing. So what I did was I rigged this up, just two bits of wood screwed onto another bit of wood, which is then screwed onto my workbench, and I used a handsaw and cut this shallow angle. And then what I did was I've packed it out in there so that I've got a height that I want. Then just to show you as a quick demonstration, so this tube, I made this jig so that this tube fits comfortably in there. The initial idea was that I was going to run a hacksaw through there, but that got sidetracked when I remembered I've got this tool, and all I need to do is there you go. There's the other end of the bit that I previously cut, bit hot. Then I just smooth that out with a file, or probably on my sanding machine, and then I've got that effect, which is, as you see, like what I'm trying to go for here, which is something like that, and layers of those. I haven't quite decided on the lighting yet, but this is the way I'm going to go. Ouch, that's hot. Just to show you, this is the kind of look that I'm going for. I've just placed them in here to give you a rough idea. And then the next layer, let's use this little chrome one. The next layer should begin there, going down, and then there'll be sort of coming forward to a point where I decide to stop, which I don't know. So that's as much as I've got out of the bit of pipe that I've got at home at the moment. So I'm just going to nip out to the shop and go and get a couple of more tubes of copper pipe and come back and carry on. Three more lengths of copper tube. Alright, I'm coming. Dinner's ready. And I'm like, I do that babyish thing where, like, I don't want to, when you don't want to get off your PlayStation because you're playing a game and like you're a good bit. If I don't go in, she shouts. I've got to stop dropping these, you know, mess them up. Oops, yeah, that's it. perfect. So I'll just pop in, have my dinner and come back out and finish that bit off. You know what? Last week out there it was -0 and today it's about 12 degrees. It's actually warm. And this is in the middle of February. Just don't know what's happening with the weather anymore. I've had to take my jacket off. First time for seems like forever. Anyway, belly full, and let's get back to doing this. There you go, that gives you an idea of what I'm trying to achieve. As I say, it's kind of like a cathedral pipe organ effect. I'm not sure how far I'm going to come out with this yet. I'll just carry on going. I've got another 2 and a bit lengths of pipe left. This is going to be heavy. Again, this is just applying some flux to the solder, which cleans it. Flux to the copper, not the solder, which cleans the copper and makes it makes the lead stick to it. What I've done here is I've secured it all in. Put the copper pipes between these 4 screws, put this at the bottom so I've got a straight line, and then I've screwed this across to hold the copper tubes down, because I know that they're going to try to pop up and expand after doing it the last time when I made one of these things. And also I've got a square set on here so that I know that the pipes are going perpendicular to what is going to be eventually the horizontal surface. Right, so apparently me screwing that bit of wood, well, one of my better ideas. Although I must say it's kept it flat. So what was my nice shiny pipes are now gone. Actually, that's actually quite a nice effect on part of it. Got like a rainbow effect. So here it is, all soldered up. I've given it a little polish as well. And now I've got to decide what kind of a base I want to put on there. And the idea is, as I say, that the light shines up through all the little flutes there, and I was going to muck around with something like that just to see what I can do with it. Alternatively, I might buy a reel of strip light and line the inside of a box, because I want even lighting coming out of each flute, and trying to do it with a spotlight might not give me the effect that I'm looking for. But yeah, I'm really pleased with that. It's taken me all bloody day. God help me if I ever try to make a profit out of making these things. I want £1,000. I've been thinking about how to finish this lamp off and what kind of base I should put on it. This will be the base for now. This is part of a leather jacket which I've cut up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this onto here like that, pull it in all nice and tight, then I can cut out the shapes with a razor blade, and then that will sit onto there, and then I'll decide about what I'm going to do with the rest of the base going down, which is going to house all the wiring for this lamp. Now my next problem, or the thing I had to think about, was how I was going to get lighting into each one of these tubes. And after doing quite a bit of research, and it's been about 2 weeks since I finished this off and doing sort of research on the internet, I've decided on LEDs, and I want to put LEDs into each one of these tubes. I thought, oh, that's a simple thing to do, but there's a little bit more to it in the way that how you power up these LEDs. So what I've done meanwhile is, let's say, I've done my research. I bought these bunch of 10mm LEDs. There you go. Don't want to focus, never mind. Yeah, I'm going to power this up using a 12-volt supply from an old broadband router that I used to have. And so the other problem was you can't just connect up these LEDs directly to a power supply because they will blow, and you need to put in electrical resistors, or give it some form of resistance to sort of step down the voltage, and that's what these tiny little things are. And the thing is with these, they've got, you know, you buy these according to the value that you require in ohms. And I didn't know, obviously, like, this is getting a little bit technical for me, but as I say, I did the research and, you know, various websites, and then eventually ended up with this, and started off with that, which like means what to anybody, I don't know. But then I sort of managed to get it to an easier diagram. So effectively what I've got to do according to this is you add your resistor, 3 bulbs joined in series, and then it goes off to, so one side to negative, one side to positive. And because I've got 45 lights, this is the way that I've got to create this whole circuit. So, and it really has been complicated, it's like getting my head around this. I bought a sheet of this stuff, like a copper board with holes in it, and so far I've connected one resistor and one bulb so far. Now I've got to join another bulb to this one and then another bulb to the next one and continue to do that 45 times. It's going to take me ages. Okay, I've finally soldered all of this. It's taken me ages. Been on it since yesterday, come back on it and spent hours on it again today. So yeah, here you can see it's one resistor for 3 LEDs. That's taken ages to do, and then you constantly got to be aware that you're soldering the LED the right way round. And luckily these wires were colour coded, and then I've run out of wire, and I found some old speaker wire which have got marks, but they're not as visible as these red and white ones, and that became a nightmare. Plus the wire was thicker and it was struggling to go through the pre-drilled holes in the breadboard, and it was just wow. Anyway, I've separated the lights into their sort of corresponding the corresponding tubes they're meant to go into, like that. That's going to be the second part of the nightmare, is getting them fitted. Right, so what I am using to power this thing up is power supply from an old Broadband, 12 volt, and that's already plugged in, and I put a little socket on there which will eventually go onto the base of my unit. And just to show you, there we go, they all work. Well, at least they do now, because I had one of them that wasn't working, but that was just a bad solder joint. So out of 45 light fittings, I feel like I haven't done too badly. So the next job now is to get on and fit these to the lamp. I've wired in on this piece of circuit board the 45 lights. This is the second time round I'm doing it. The first time round I had the wiring too short. I've extended the wires, and then some of them didn't work because they were dry joints on the circuit board. So I've ripped the whole thing up. There you go. And done it again. A little bit more spaced out on this one with a slightly wider board. And luckily everything is working. What I've done, I've used a hot glue gun to glue all the lights in place, and what I did was I marked this pencil and sort of shoved it down the end of each one, and went by that mark so that each light falls to the same mark, more or less, a millimetre out here or there, but just so that they all have an even lighting coming out from. I put loads of glue on top of the circuit board as well to stop the wires from working free and disconnecting like they did on the first go. And now all I've got to do is get this thing mounted, and here's a view of how it looks like, or what it's gonna look like. Oh, I can see one that looks a bit darker for some reason. I have to check that out. Could be because that's not as polished as the rest of them, but in a way, just looking at it like that, it's kind of quite like the fact that they've got different shades as well. I think it just adds to it. So here it is, finally finished it. There was bits I didn't film because I was getting quite annoyed with it, made a few mistakes. I've made up a nice oak case for it, an oak platform for it. The wiring was a complete nightmare on this. I really had a headache with it. If I was to do it again, I'd get it right first time, but this was a problem. Coming round the back, and you can see I've put a little on-off switch there, the jack plug in there for the power source, and underneath I put another piece of plywood which I've put some screws in, countersunk them, sunk it a little bit deeper so that only the outer edges touch whatever you're sort of sitting it on. So there you go, the end of another project, and I'm already thinking about my next one, and I've got drawn out scraps of paper like with different ideas of perhaps what I want to do next, and can I do them, or am I going to piss myself off like I did with this one? But the end product is makes it worthwhile in the end. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and do subscribe.